Hello everybody and welcome along to today's video. This video will be discussing 5 super top tips to get you by on your perfect Mexican holiday. Now these 5 are not in any particular order, however if you do feel that I have missed any out whatsoever, go ahead and leave a little comment below and let me know what's in the top tip list for you. Top tip number 1 is the sea shoe. Now we'll be leaving a link in the description below to the exact same pair that I wear and also my wife wears. Now these shoes are absolutely fantastic. They are very lightweight, they are very sturdy and they are very comfortable. As you can see here, they are absolutely perfect for places like Xcaret and Xel-Há for the sheer fact that you can use them in water and on land, which means when you get to Xel-Há or Xcaret or any other places, whether it's a cenote or just a beach walk, you can simply slip them on and forget about them all day long. What I love about these shoes is the grip tread at the bottom of the sole. This means that it doesn't matter if you're walking on hard rock or slimy algae steps, you can be assured that you're not going to fall over and hurt yourself, which is a big key component in actually getting these shoes. I tested these shoes out in a manner of different fashions, whether it was underneath water, hard rock, slimy steps, and as you can see here, a very narrow tightrope. And because of the gel soles that you get with these shoes, everything you do is extremely comfortable. You can walk around parks like this all day long and not hurt your feet. And for a pair of shoes that weighs less than 200 grams a pair, these are an absolute must for any traveller that is worried about going over their weight limit for their suitcase allowance. Top tip number 2, the trusty sunscreen. Now this seems a bit of an obvious one and an easy one to put on the list, but trust me on this one, hear me out. Now if I was to tell you a bottle of sunscreen back at home is roughly about £6 a bottle. However, on site, on resorts or in the towns, they are nearly $40 a bottle. That's right, that's about £32 a bottle for the same size. Bearing in mind the average person goes away to Mexico for 10 nights, maybe 14 nights. Keep in mind over the course of 2 weeks we used roughly about 4 bottles. That would be best part of about 160 to 180 US dollars whilst you're out there. Keep in mind for the first 3 or 4 days that we were out there it was extremely overcast. However, the UV index was still saying extreme and people were still getting burnt on a full day on the beach when it was no sun. But when the sun did come out, boy oh boy, what a scorcher it was. There was no escaping the absolute devastation the sun was going to do to your skin without sunscreen. Another thing to think about is is your sunscreen ocean safe? See, in Mexico there is so much ocean coral about that normal sunscreen can actually damage the coral. But fear not, Xcaret and Xel-Há have you both covered. At Xel-Há, these can be found at the entrance by the hammocks and at any of the coloured stations that you get your towels and equipment from. And at Xcaret, it's at the main reception area where the gift shops and the food court is. Top tip number 3, a most underrated and most misunderstood form of transport, the Colectivo. Now this one quite frankly surprised me quite a lot because the amount of people we spoke to on resort that didn't quite know how to get about or were quite worried really with the lack of knowledge of how to get about ended up staying at the resort, which is utter madness because these are an absolute gem for Mexico. So firstly, there are 3 ways to get about Mexico. You can hire a private car, which we have done before, which I think was a Lincoln Navigator, or you can just go for a regular taxi, which you can summon via the bellboys at the reception. Or, in my opinion, I would say the best way to get about, and definitely the cheapest way, is the Colectivo. They only cost 40 pesos per person per journey, and it doesn't matter if you're only going a mile down the road or 10 miles down the road, the fare remains unchanged. Do bear in mind that the average taxi just to Playa del Carmen is about 600 to 700 pesos each way, but via Colectivo it was 40 pesos per person, so that was 80 pesos for me and my wife to go to the same place, which when you're doing plenty of trips throughout your holiday, that is a massive saving you're going to be doing. How to get these taxis couldn't be simpler. All you have to do is go to the entrance of your hotel and within 2 or 3 minutes you'll have a Colectivo stopping ready to pick you up. Simply jump in, tell the driver where you wish to go and then just wait until he stops. If you're a little worried and you're first time travellers, just ask the driver where you need to get off and he'll be happy to help. The routes couldn't be simpler. They run from Playa del Carmen to Cancun and Playa del Carmen to Tulum. Now if you are going to Playa del Carmen, you cannot miss where you're going to be dropped off. It is right opposite a massive supermarket, so this is where all drop-offs are into Playa del Carmen. And when returning back, simply follow the pavement along from the supermarket to this place here. This is like the departure terminal. Once you're here, you cannot get lost. There is endless amount of people helping you and directing you to where you need to go to. And now for a tip inside a tip. Kind of like a tipception, I suppose you could call it. My wife and I, we went in May to June time of 2022. And there was very little places that required masks. However, the Collectivos is one of those places. So don't get caught short. Make sure you bring a mask with you, otherwise they're going to charge you about $2 or $3 for them. And now the serious bit about the Collectivos. This has only happened to us once, but it's worth noting. We were halfway to Playa del Carmen when we arrived at a checkpoint. At that checkpoint, some armed guards got on and required to see our identification papers, which was a little worrying at first because we didn't have any identification papers or our passports on us. But thankfully, a driver's license will suffice. So perhaps bear that in mind, that either take your passport with you or make sure that you have your UK driver's license to hand. Top tip number 4, pesos over dollar. This can be quite a controversial one, but we have done both. We have gone with pesos, and the second time we went with dollar, and we definitely got a better rate when we went with the pesos. Mexico takes two types of currency, the US dollar and the Mexican pesos. Now the deciding factor for us to take pesos, and for me to advise anyone to go to Mexico to take pesos, is you get a much better exchange rate when you're buying pesos. Also, a lot of the shops and small shops take pesos only. The Collectivos only do take pesos. If you used to visit Tulum, they only take pesos. And when buying something in dollars, unfortunately you get the change back in pesos and are not at a very good exchange rate either. I think it worked out to an amount of about £2 or £3 different per 10 US dollar, which is a huge amount. Also, when tipping at your hotel, it is best to tip in pesos. This is because a lot of the workers use the Collectivos to get to and from work. And I've said before, the Collectivos only take pesos, so this would greatly help them getting to and from work. So when people say to me, which one would you prefer to take, pesos or dollar? Well, the answer's quite simple, it's definitely pesos. Top tip number 5, get out as soon as possible. Yes, you heard me right. I'm not saying as soon as you've checked your luggage into the hotel room that you need to leave the hotel straight away, but as soon as you can, make sure you get out. Jump in a Collectivo, get yourself down to Playa del Carmen and find the local supermarkets as quick as possible. The reason being that on resort, some of the shops can be quite expensive and overpriced. The hotel we stayed at, we were very lucky. We did have a wide variety of snacks to have in the minibar. However, if you want a taste of Mexico and fancy something a little different than the American snacks that you can get, then go ahead and get yourself down to a mini mart, because the absolute selection of crisps and drinks and different types of food snacks is huge. Not only that, you're going to be paying local prices and not tourist prices this way. And the same goes for all you smokers out there. At the hotel resort, yes, they do sell cigarettes, however, they are a little bit cheaper than what you pay in England. I think it equates to about £6 to £7 a packet. But if you find the local mini-marts, you'll be spending about £2 a packet, maybe £3. That is a massive, massive saving for you guys. Also, if you find the local mini-marts, you'll often find some independent souvenir shops. These won't sell the mass-produced gifts that everyone seems to get, but more of a unique gift. So if you're looking to save a lot of money and to be organised, as soon as possible, jump into a Collectivo, get yourself down to Playa del Carmen, find the small places that sell very cheap snacks, pick up as much as you can, bring it back to your hotel, and the rest of the holiday's your own, all at the same time saving a hell of a lot of money. So that just about does it for today's top tips. I do hope that they were very helpful to you, and let me know how you got on using these tips. But thank you very much for watching the video. I'm going to leave you with some behind the scenes footage of me freaking out inside a dark cave filled with water, thinking that some sort of barracuda had got underneath my life jacket. I think I'm ready for the cycling and running bit of this next activity.
You've got a roll, yeah? It's wonderful distance.
It's just another. Oh! Oh my God!
What is it?
Oh, it was the battery pack. Yeah, what?
I know. It floated up and you didn't know what it was.
And it hit me under the arm. I'm not going to have to wear that.
Okay, I'll wear it.